Section 7 of The City of Dreadful Night and Other Poems by James Thomson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 7. A Voice from the Nile. I come from mountains under other stars than those reflected in my waters here. Athwart broad realms, beneath large skies I flow, between the Libyan and Arabian hills, and merge at last into the great mid-sea, and make this land of Egypt. All is mine, the palm trees and the doves among the palms, the cornfields and the flowers among the corn, the patient oxen and the crocodiles, the ibis and the heron and the hawk, the lotus and the thick papyrus reeds, the slant-sailed boats that flit before the wind, or up my rapids ropes hail heavily, yea, even all the massive temple fronts, with all their columns and huge effigies, the pyramids, and Memnon, and the Sphinx, this Cairo, and the city of the Greek as Memphis, and the 100-gated Thebes, Sais, and Dendera of Isis queen, have grown because I fed them with full life, and flourish only while I feed them still. For, if I stint my fertilizing flood, gaunt famine reaps among the sons of men who have not corn to reap for all they sowed. And blight and languishment are everywhere, and when I have withdrawn or turned aside to other realms my ever-flowing streams, the old realms withered from their old renown. The sands came over them, the desert sands incessantly encroaching, numberless beyond my water drops, and buried them. And all is silence, solitude, and death, exanimate silence, while the waste winds howl over the sad, immeasurable waste. Dusk memories haunt me of an infinite past. Ages and cycles brood above my springs, though I remember not my primal birth. So ancient is my being and august, I know not anything more venerable, unless, perchance, the vaulting skies that hold the sun and moon and stars that shine on me, the air that breathes upon me with delight, and earth, all mother, all beneficent, who held her mountains forth like opulent breasts to cradle me and feed me with their snows, and hollowed out the great sea to receive my overplus of flowing energy. Blessed forever be our Mother Earth. Only the mountains that must feed my springs year after year, and every year with snows as they have fed innumerable years, these mountains, they are evermore the same, rooted and motionless. The solemn heavens are evermore the same in stable rest. The sun and moon and stars that shine on me are evermore the same, although they move. I solely, moving ever without pause, am evermore the same and not the same, pouring myself away into the sea, and self-renewing from the farthest heights, ever fresh waters streaming down and down, the one old Nileless constant through their change. The creatures also whom I breed and feed perpetually perish and dissolve, and other creatures like them take their place, to perish in their turn and be no more. My profluent waters perish not from life, absorbed into the ever-living sea, whose life is in their full replenishment. Of all these creatures whom I breed and feed, one only with his works is strange to me, is strange and admirable and pitiable, as homeless where all others are at home. My crocodiles are happy in my slime, and bask and seize their prey, each for itself, and leave their eggs to hatch in the hot sun, and die, their lives fulfilled, and are no more, and others bask and prey, and leave their eggs. My doves, they build their nests, each pair its own, and feed their callow young, each pair its own. None serves another, each one serves itself. All glean alike about my fields of grain, and all the nests they build them are alike, and are the selfsame nests they built of old, before the rearing of the pyramids, before great Hecatopolis was reared. Their cooing is the cooing, soft and sweet, that murmured plaintively at evening tide, in pillared Karnak, as its pillars rose, and they are happy, floating through my palms. But man, the admirable, the pitiable, these sad-eyed peoples of the sons of men, are as the children of an alien race planted among my children, not at home, changelings aloof from all my family. The one is servant, and the other lord, and many myriads serve a single lord. So was it when the pyramids were reared, and sphinxes, and huge columns, and wrought stones were hailed long lengthening leagues down my banks by hundreds, groaning with the stress of toil, and groaning under the taskmaster's scourge, with many falling fordone by the way, half starved on lentils, onions, and scant bread. So is it now with these poor fellaheen, to whom my annual bounty brings fierce toil, with scarce enough of food to keep in life. They build mud huts and spacious palaces, and in the huts the moiling millions dwell, and in the palaces their sumptuous lords, pampered with all the choicest things I yield. Most admirable, most pitiable man. Also, their peoples ever are at war, slaying and slain, burning and ravaging, and one yields to another, and they pass, while I flow evermore the same great Nile, the ever young and ever ancient Nile. The swarthy is succeeded by the dusk, the dusky by the pale again by sunburned, turbaned tribes, long linen-robed. And with these changes, all things change and pass, all things, but me, in this old land of mine. Their dwellings, habitudes, and garbs, and tongues, I hear strange voices, never more the voice austere priests chanted to the boat of death, gliding across the Acaresian lake, or satraps parlayed in the Pharaoh's halls. Never the voice of mad Cambius's hosts, never the voice of Alexander's Greece, never the voice of Caesar's haughty Rome. And with the people and the languages, and with the great empires, still the great creeds change. They shift, they change, they vanish like thin dreams, as unsubstantial as the mists that rise after my overflow from out my fields. in silver fleeces, golden volumes, rise and melt away before the mounting sun, while I flow onward, solely permanent amidst their swiftly passing pageantry. Poor men, most admirable, most pitiable, with all their changes, all their great creeds change. For man, this alien in my family, is alien most in this, to cherish dreams and brood on visions of eternity, and build religions in his brooding brain and in the dark depths awful of his soul. My other children live their little lives, are born and reach their prime and slowly fail, and all their little lives are self-fulfilled. They die and are no more, content with age and weary with infirmity. But man has fear and hope and fantasy and awe and wistful yearnings and unsated loves that strain beyond the limits of his life, and therefore gods and demons, heaven and hell. This man, the admirable, the pitiable. Lo, I look backward some few thousand years and see men hewing temples in my rocks, with seated forms, gigantic fronting them, and solemn labyrinthine catacombs, with tombs all pictured with fair scenes of life and scenes and symbols of mysterious death, and planting avenues of sphinxes forth, sphinxes couched calm, whose passionless regard sets timeless riddles to bewildered time. Forth from my sacred banks to other fanes islanded in the boundless sea of air, upon whose walls and colonnades are carved tremendous hieroglyphs of secret things. I see embalming of the bodies dead and judging of the disembodied souls. I see the sacred animals alive, and statues of the various headed gods, among them throned a woman and a babe, the goddess crescent-horned, the babe divine. Then I flow forward some few thousand years and see new temples shining with all grace, whose sculptured gods are beautiful human forms. Then I flow forward not 1,000 years and see again a woman and a babe, the woman hallowed and the babe divine. And everywhere that symbol of the cross I knew aforetime in the ancient days, the emblem then of life, but now of death. Then I flow forward some few hundred years and see again the crescent, now supreme on lofty cupolas and minarets, whence voices sweet and solemn call to prayer. So the men change along my changeless stream, and change their faiths, but I yield all alike sweet water for their drinking, sweet as wine, and pure sweet water for their lustral rites. For 30 generations of my corn outlast a generation of my men, and 30 generations of my men outlast a generation of their gods. O admirable, pitiable man, my child, yet alien in my family. And through all these generations, flow of corn and men and gods, all bountiful, perennial, through their transientness, still fed by earth with waters in abundancy. And as I flowed here long before they were, so may I flow when they no longer are, most like the serpent of eternity. Blessed forever be our Mother Earth. November 1881. End of Section 7.